Hello and welcome to Threaded. Hello, so this is a new concept. Basically, I had a lot of things on my mind and there was a lot of things that I wanted to talk about, but I didn't really know how to go about doing that. I wanted to talk about these things that were on my mind in a way that felt very authentic and that wasn't just kind of plopped in between weekly vlogs of me in fashion school. And so this is why I came up with this kind of podcast format. Obviously, you're watching it here on my YouTube channel, but I will have hopefully gotten these up on Spotify and potentially some other streaming platforms. I just need to kind of familiarize myself with them. First, it will be under the name Threaded, potentially threaded by Anya Rowe. And I'll put the cover of it here and you can find it as you wish. If not, you can watch it here on my channel. I have potentially made a second channel for just these episodes, but I'm going to see how it goes with it in the midst of everything else. And if I really want it, I can pop it over to the second channel. But let me know what you think and we'll go from there. And the premise of this is to just kind of talk about mainly fashion, pop culture, art, music, anything that's really on my mind that I feel like I can talk about for 40 minutes with my pink bedazzled microphone. We need to give a moment for her. I feel like Hannah Montana. Let me tell you one thing. Hold on. Oh, she's perfect. Yeah, I'm in my pop star era. And I recently cut off all my hair. I normally have really long hair. So I'm really having my Hannah Montana wig moment. Wig. Anyway, if anyone notices that the rhinestones don't go all the way to the top of the microphone, I will come for you in your sleep. Okay, I'm going to fix that. Okay, don't worry, pookies. It will be fixed next episode. I just got ready, put the microphone on and went, But anyway, intro out of the way, little backstory out of the way, and let's get going, girls. So I'm basically unsure exactly what I'm going to title this video, but the premise of it is that loving your clothes will quite literally save the planet. To put it quite frankly. For those of you who don't follow my vlogs or maybe just started out with this, I am currently studying a master's in fashion business with an emphasis on fashion buying, but we kind of study the entire back of house operations of the fashion industry. And I have a module on supply chain and we were talking about the circular economy. And I was writing an essay about it and this is where I came upon this article here. And in the article, she basically was said along the lines that people who love their clothes and have like a deep connection with their clothes are more likely to get their clothes repaired, reuse them even when they're torn, or pass them on for generations, which then thus creates the circular economy, which is like one of the biggest ways to save the planet. So I wanted to kind of expand upon this in a way. When I'm talking about this, I'm not coming at this from like a moral high ground, which is important to say. Like, I have an awful lot of clothes. I know that. I could pull up the excuse and say I work in fashion, I study fashion, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. But I feel like that would just be an excuse. I have an awful lot of clothes, but what I will always say is I am a very mindful consumer. I have a lot of clothes, but I wear most of my clothes. There's very few items in my wardrobe that don't get to see the light of day. Obviously, regardless of seasonal items like bikinis and scarves. But the majority of my wardrobe gets worn frequently. And that's something that I always pride myself on. And so throughout this video, I want to really just talk about how it will not only benefit you, but the planet and society at large if you really just love your clothes. Throughout media and all, it's always been said that people who love fashion or are obsessed with their clothes are kind of superficial in a way. But I wanted to talk about how that's actually the complete opposite. And those who don't have a deeper relationship with their clothes or just clothes in general are in a way more superficial than the others, which will make sense by the end of the video. So let's go on this journey. Throughout this video, I'm going to talk a lot about switching to secondhand. And I remember I was listening to an Emma Chamberlain's podcast when she had just cleared out like 90% of her wardrobe, and she was talking about why she did that, etc. And in it, she mentioned how she got into vintage fashion. And she was talking about how with $100 she could get like 5 items from Brandy Melville or something, I don't know. But if she went into a thrift store or a secondhand shop, she could get 20 items for $100. And so that abundance is what lured her to secondhand shopping, where she could get more for her money. And although you very much can get more for your money in vintage, which I'll talk about a little bit later, I just want to preface by saying an abundance of secondhand clothes is still an abundance of clothes. So if you're doing these huge secondhand hauls once a month, you are still damaging the planet, okay? I'm not saying instead of like secondhand hauls are the same machine hauls, because obviously there's not. There's the whole ethics thing there. But I'm hoping by the end of it for you to be more aware of your consumption as a whole rather than your consumption of fast fashion. So I just want to preface this before we continue. Slay Queens. I'm loving this microphone. I'm so sorry. Yes, actually, on that note, I also want to say that like I buy stupid shit like this. Well, I didn't buy this. I planted every single I glued every single diamond on this. I know I could have just had a normal microphone, but I didn't want a normal microphone. And we can attach that same concept to clothes, where I know you don't need clothes, but it's okay to want clothes, and I'll talk about this later. But I want to start by saying that we were never meant to own this much clothes. There's enough clothes on the planet to last the next 7 generations. Could be 6, I believe it's 7. But there's towers of polyester from clothes that have just been discarded that can be seen from space. They're skyscrapers high, and these are just releasing toxic chemicals into the environment, damaging the environment and your health. All of this is a domino effect, which again, as I was saying, it's about conscious consumption. We have too much clothes. Brief history of fashion here. Clothes were made as they were required. So if someone had a certain amount of clothes, a very small amount of clothes, depending on how wealthy they were and all, obviously there's loads of variables in it. And if they were torn or if they grew out of it, etc., then they would get new clothes. Or if there was, if you're in the aristocracy and you had balls, obviously they would have multiple ball gowns, but they would have reworn the dresses, which is the big thing here. So throughout history, we've only ever had clothes as they were required. And then throughout the war, when in World War I, when the uniform designers were required to make bulk amount of clothing, they couldn't stick with the made to measure as it had been throughout history. And so ready to wear was made. Obviously, it began with just uniforms and it made its way into the fashion industry. Then there was the development of the department store. There's loads of different factors in it. It's only with the likes of capitalism and all that we have gotten used to owning such an abundance of clothes. Whereas that wasn't always the case. And I think you need to emphasize this. It's again, with that whole like body image thing, a lot of people say we were never meant to see our faces as much as we do now. It's very similar. Our mindset towards clothing is inherently practicality. And yes, we can have more clothes than we want. But we were never meant to have this much. Our brains were not used to this much options. And so reducing that is kind of the key to everything. As I said just there, throughout time, clothes have always been meant to be worn. There has never been a shame in outfit repeating. And I think now there is something so beautiful and like charming about outfit repeating, which is why I wore this very outfit. I think if you go on my Instagram, I think I must have 5 photos of me in this very outfit. But I love it. These trousers are like one of my all-time favorite things in my entire wardrobe. They're Kid Super. I love them. This shirt is vintage. The tie is vintage. It's actually Paul Smith. Got it for €1 on Vinted. But we always talk about, I remember there was that trend on TikTok where it was talking about people who wear the same jewellery every single day. And I'm one of them. I don't know if you can see, but I wear an awful lot of jewellery. I have 3 necklaces on that I never take off as well. And I find it kind of ironic that people will gladly say that there's something whimsical and endearing about someone wearing the same jewellery every single day. But that mindset doesn't apply to someone wearing their favourite pair of jeans. And I think clothing is even more important because there's that kind of element of comfort and practicality, as I was mentioning earlier, to it, where I think jewellery you can almost forget you're wearing. Clothes you can't. If something is uncomfortable, you will feel it on you for like the entire day. So it's even more important than jewellery for you to wear the clothes you love. And there is no shame in outfit repeating. I am team there is beauty in outfit repeating. Like, we all know how difficult it is for someone to find the perfect pair of jeans. I find it kind of ironic how jean shopping being horrendous is a universal experience. But yet people are still feel the need to be like, do you have any other pairs of jeans? Like, leave me alone. These jeans are comfy. And like, again, falling into that, like, you want to wear your comfy clothes. You want to wear things that make you glow from the inside out. Whether even that is a pair of jeans. I have a pair of jeans that I bought at a very sketchy, I'm not even going to say vintage shop. It was a secondhand shop in Paris. They were €2. I paid in cash. Actually, my mum paid. So at that point, they were just adding to the economy. They were beyond free. But I wear them at least twice a week. I don't think I'm ever going to find a pair of jeans that fit me as perfectly as they do. Same with these here. So of course I'm going to wear them. I went through the journey of finding them. Let me wear them. For anyone out there who is worried about being an outfit repeater, I think it's important to note that the majority of people that you meet throughout the day are people who have never met you before. And the majority of those people will forget who you are entirely. So the people who recognize what you're wearing is a vast minority, okay? So if I was to wear the same outfit 3 days in a row around Dublin, I can guarantee you I could walk past maybe, let's say, 4,000 people. There's probably a likelihood that 5 would even acknowledge that they've seen me 3 days in a row or that I've been wearing the exact same outfit. And if, you know, the occasion where you might bump into your friends or whatever, I think it's just the whole thing of they'd be excited to see you. I don't think they'd even care about what you're wearing. And this is coming from someone whose life revolves around clothes and what I wear. And again, on that note, like, if you are to meet people for the first time and you're conscious of the first impressions that you make with people, would you not have your first impressions be one where you're most confident and you're your most comfortable self? And the best way to do that is wear the clothes that make you comfortable and confident. Again, like this outfit, I decided for the occasion, yous are getting a shirt and tie moment. So I wore my favourite shirt, tie and trousers. Do you get me? There's nothing wrong with that. And again, this is coming from someone whose life revolves around clothes. And along the lines of outfit repeating, I think it's really important that you know your entire wardrobe. And I feel like most people should know their wardrobes. Like, if I was getting ready in the morning, I should know how many shirts I have, how many button-up shirts I have, what colours they are, how, like, where they are, like, can I easily locate them? again, like ties or whatever, like you should be able to in your head be like, oh yeah, like I know I have that red top, I haven't worn that in a while, I could wear that with whatever. But also this comes into when you're shopping. I know a lot of people talk about how you should never buy outfits, and when you're buying something make sure it goes with 5 items you own, but I think it should go with way more than that. And the only way that you can know that is if you know your wardrobe. Like, you should be able to go into a shop and see a pair of jeans and be like, not jeans because they go with everything, but like a blazer, let's say, and be like, yeah, I could wear that with like 30% of my wardrobe. Because you, like, realistically, you should know your wardrobe. I'm also like a big fan of, there's items that I have in my wardrobe that I haven't worn in a while, but I think it's because I've been struggling styling them. So sometimes when I'm out and about and I see something and be like, oh my God, that would go perfect with that silk top I haven't worn in ages. And then that will invite you to kind of wear your clothes more. But you could never get to that idea if you do not know your wardrobe.
Okay, so those of us who look at dressing as art, first of all, we're artists, and art takes time. Okay, so to do this took time. I got this hat many years ago. It's like to put the pieces together takes time. If you're not interested in doing that, in going to flea markets to find the stuff, in going to all the shows and going to stores, if that's not your interest, if you'd rather go sailing, then art dressing is not your art form. You have another art form. So just buy whatever you're buying. But those of us who really love it, we can't stop. And we take time with it. It takes time.
And if you're struggling with not knowing your wardrobe, there's a likelihood that you have too much clothes. And I think we all have too much clothes. We can have too much clothes within reason. And I think the best way to counteract that is to just do a good old clear out. I probably clean out my wardrobe realistically probably once every 2 years. And I may only get rid of 5 items. But it just shows me in my brain that, oh my God, I wear all the other clothes, or thank God that they're out of my way. Not for you to replace them with 5 more items, let me tell you one thing. Or it could be a thing where you kind of need to redo your space. Before I had this room, I had the tiniest wardrobe ever, and I had too much clothes for that wardrobe. But I knew, obviously, that I was going to work in fashion for the rest of my life, and I didn't care if my whole room was overflowing with clothes. But it was only actually whenever I changed rooms that I was like, oh my God, I really could have gotten rid of like a lot. And there's no shame in that. So please do. And then donate them to charity shops. And here we go. We've got the circular economy going. Wear your clothes. Love your clothes. Outfit repeat, please. Hashtag outfit repeat. It's 2025. Who cares? But know your wardrobe. Know your goddamn wardrobe, please. And thank you. It makes shopping so much more fun and dressing yourself so much more fun. You put on clothes every single day. Okay, every single day you're going to be doing the exact same process. You might as well make it fun. I tell you, I am flowing through these points like water. Oh my God. As I was saying about enjoying shopping and enjoying getting dressed, I think there's something so incredible and important about gamifying your shopping experience. Whenever I was very young, I loved charity shopping or vintage shopping or whatever, because I would go into a store, I would look in the boys, the girls aisle, the men's, the women's, toys, books, everything, and I would scour through all these rails trying to find something really cool. And when I did find something, I knew it was something that no one else had. And it made it like so special. It was literally, I was like a little pirate looking for my golden treasure. But I would find that golden treasure and I would feel so proud of it. And there's been a big push now within the luxury industry to gamify shopping. And it's something that they are consciously doing to enhance consumer behaviours and consumer spending. Famously, the Burberry store in Hong Kong, I believe, have created this point system where the more money you spend in store, the more perks you're given access to, like their exclusive restaurant or new items in the restaurant, or I think you can vote on their new menus, and there's loads of kind of stuff like that within the luxury industry. It's called user experience, and especially through omni-channel operations, which is when a brand will try and make their online store and their in-store experience flow cohesively as one like proper unit. And I think it's so funny how the luxury industry, with all their money, are trying to sell you an experience that you can create authentically for free, and something that you very much should be doing. And it will fall into everything that I was saying before, where it will create a deeper connection with your clothes. Just like when I was a kid and I loved secondhand shopping, I never thought there was anything weird about it because it was like a game to me. It was my favorite game to play. And I think with everything going on in the world, with this kind of one-click convenience of online shopping, there is nothing that can replace the authenticity of the in-store experience. And I know everyone's rooting for nostalgia and everyone's like, let's get the kids back to the malls and all that kind of stuff. It's because regardless of human connection, in-store shopping is the antithesis of instant gratification. Even if you go into a Zara, you're surrounded, or like a luxury boutique where everything's curated, you're surrounded by clothes. And it's up to you to root through those rails to find exactly what you want. Although it's not at the same level as vintage shops, or even the whole premise of a TK or TJ Maxx is you rooting through everything to find what you want, and the reward you get, and the internalized reward of finding the item that you wanted. And there is nothing quite like the joy of finding your perfect item after a good shopping experience. But again, I think it's so important for you to go in store and try stuff on and see what's out and about and have that human experience. But also, there's something inherently positive about having a bad shopping trip. I know there's nothing worse than whenever you've spent like an afternoon shopping and you come home and you're like, I didn't get anything. Like, there was nothing inspiring to me. I know how annoying these trips can be, but it's also important to not buy. Just because you haven't bought anything yet doesn't mean you should buy something now. Does that make sense? I feel like it does. Because by not buying something, it will mean when you go shopping next time, you know what you don't want. When you do find what you do want and what you do love, it will make it all the more rewarding. Again, you're gamifying the experience. With everything on our phones and our instant gratification epidemic that's going on, what's the is it slow gratification? I feel like that's not what it's called. I'm going to put it on screen. What's the opposite of instant gratification? Sure. Anyway, that's what it is. That's what the in-store shopping experience is. And then when you find that item of clothing, again, you're more likely to love it. You're more likely to wear it. And then if anything happens to it, you're more likely to repair it. Loving your clothes is going to save the planet. As I said, yes. Are we following? I hope we're following. I don't know if I'm making good enough points here, but I feel like you're getting the gist now. And I know I talked about like secondhand and all that kind of stuff, but I think as someone, I used to work as a luxury sales assistant, okay? And obviously, as you all know, the entire concept of the in-store luxury experience is creating a feeling within the customer, within making them feel like they belong there, creating, like asking them about their day, you know, building a relationship with your clients. Although this is done throughout loads of research to make you feel a certain way, to make you more inclined to buy, we all know how this works, it's capitalism. I think it's quite funny because whenever you do buy that luxury item, you associate the in-store experience with that item. But if you associate your clothes with a feeling, it creates a deeper connection. Like, I remember there's so much clothes that I have that I just associate with either the journey of me getting them, like me scouring through the rails, or times when I've worn my clothes and they've kind of withheld the memories of that day out. Like these trousers, for example, like I remember I watched Colm Delan for Kid Super's guest collaboration with Vuitton Menswear before Pharrell Williams became creative director, you know, when they were in that interim period. And I was like, oh my God, I had never seen the brand before. I had never heard of him before. And the way he just encapsulated art in a living form. And I found out he was Irish. Then I found out that he was a trained artist. And he then kind of shifted on to fashion and all that kind of stuff. And I fell in love with his journey. And then about 2 years later, I managed to buy my first item from him. And then I've gone on to buy some other stuff from him. And I always have such a deep connection with this brand. But this makes me want to wear it, because then whenever I get compliments on these jeans, which if I'm being honest, I kind of do every time I wear them, I'm really motivated to tell people the story, to tell them about this brand that I discovered and how that like they should get into it and how it's a great brand, and then hopefully they do, and like word travels. I feel like I'm just listing all these brands. I have a Karl Lagerfeld blazer that I got in a charity shop for a tenner because there was a moth bite on the back of it and it was 15, but they reduced it to a tenner because of the damage. And I was like, are you aware that this is Karl Lagerfeld? And they were like, yeah, but it's damaged. And I just remember being like, oh my God. So again, anytime I wear that blazer, I'm like, yes, it's vintage Karl Lagerfeld. I don't even know what collection it's from, because it's just like a plaid blazer that kind of is very Karl. But anyway, I'm just actually going to read off exactly what I said in my notes here regarding the whole like gamifying experience and having memories with your clothes, because I think I said it quite well in my notes and I don't want to blabble on nonsense. Okay, so I said, the act of shopping should take you on a journey to find exactly what you want, no matter how long it takes. And I think that's so important, because there's items of clothing that I've wanted and I have been looking for like 2 years, and then I found them. Again, like these jeans. Like I wanted something from the brand. I searched for 2 years to find ones. I ended up buying these secondhand because that wasn't in my budget at the time, and I got a great deal on them. I think I got them for like €100, and I think now they sell, I saw a pair for 700, but I think they sell normally around like the 500 region. But it brought me on a journey, and it brought me kind of deeper into exploring the brand and exploring their collections and all that kind of stuff. And then whenever I eventually found the item, it was all the more rewarding. And then the rest of the notes say, and then when you do find the clothes, they will be way more precious to you, and I put way in capitals, and encourage you to value and treasure that item so much more. Which is, again, it's the antithesis of instant gratification. It's the climb. It's the climb. Oh my goodness. Well, yes. Go on a journey. Find something that you like, be it on like Pinterest or whatever, like a specific item. Not really that specific. Like I remember I was looking for a biker jacket before they came trendy. And then because they were really difficult to find, like the moto jackets, I looked for maybe 2 years, and my mom ended up finding one in Barcelona in a Zara. Although I don't shop from Zara anymore, I was like, oh my God, that is exactly what I wanted. I wear it all the time. Whenever I say it's Zara, everyone's like, Anya. But I still found exactly what I wanted, and it still brought me joy. I'm not encouraging you to shop in Zara, but what I'm saying, allow yourself to be uncomfortable with the shopping experience and for it to take longer than it could. I know I could have probably found exactly what I wanted on Shein, but I wanted to find something authentically. Like I have a Cars vinyl, and I knew it was a limited edition one, and I knew I could find that on the Disney shop, but I was waiting until I walked into a record shop and I found it, and then that is what I did, and I ended up buying it, and I have that like deeper connection with that vinyl because it took me way longer, and I'll always treasure that vinyl. Yes, it's the Disney Cars vinyl. Okay, life is a fucking highway. Okay, I'm gonna ride it all night long. Exactly. Okay, my next note is kind of batshit crazy, so bear with me. I said verbatim, You don't need discipline, you need devotion. Unless you have a severe shopping addiction, which is perfectly fine, but you need to get help for that, babes. You don't need to go on a strict no-buy month or year. You just need to love what you already have and find joy in wearing your clothes rather than replacing them. I know that point is kind of batshit insane, but what I think I was getting at was, with the trend cycle going as fast as it is now, basically the trend cycle is now a week with all these micro trends. There's this mindset that if you're not loving your clothes, just replace it. If you're not entirely happy with your wardrobe, just buy something new. But that's not going to fill the void. If you don't love your clothes, you can't buy your way into loving your wardrobe. You just need to change your mindset entirely. And this, again, is what I've been getting at throughout the whole thing, is that you should care about your clothes. But if you're buying clothes to fall into the trends, you're not going to care about them, which is what I'm going to get at now in a second. I don't want to expand on that, okay? And a bit of a trigger warning, this next point is going to come across really bad, but bear with me, okay? You are not entitled to new clothes. I'm going to end the podcast now. Okay, so to expand upon that. Okay, this is going to come across as very tough lovey. And in a way, it's probably going to come across as a little bit entitled. But I just want to preface this by saying I grew up in a single parent household with not a lot of money. The reason why I shopped in charity shops when I was so young is because we had no money. So I understand what that whole concept. And whenever I was like 15 and I had no money and I was going to a disco, I bought a little dress and Pretty Little Thing, okay? So I get buying the occasional item on fast fashion, like websites or retailers or whatever you want to say, as long as you wear it, use it, and love it. As I said before, I have that jacket that I got from Zara. Although I don't encourage people buying from Zara, I'm still going to wear that jacket. And so when I continue at this point, I want to mention that there's nothing wrong with someone who genuinely has no other option buying the occasional thing from a fast fashion website. But what I will say is secondhand always has been and always will be way cheaper, and you get way more for your money. I have a cashmere wool coat that I got for €12. If I was to buy the same thing on Pretty Little Thing, it would be a wool blend, which is in reality only a 10% wool, and it would cost like €50 to €60. So that whole concept where fast fashion is cheaper, I will never understand. But I know, whatever, there's things, life calls for things to be for certain occasions, and you might not find them in a charity shop. Although I do encourage you to look there first, or look in your local vintage shops or whatever, or online and Vinted. I get the occasional thing. The planet is not being destroyed by one Pretty Little Thing order a year. Well, within reason, okay? If you're doing one Pretty Little Thing order and that order is €5,000, you're taking the piss. But like 3 items a year, okay, I'll take it, whatever. But there's way too many people who use that argument as a cop-out. And they say they are entitled to new clothes every summer and they're deserving of new clothes every summer. And so it's within their reason to spend €500 on Shein because they can't afford a €500 set from Brown Thomas. And it's this quantity over quality mindset or whatever. But if you have €500 to spend on clothes, you are void from this entire argument. Okay, you have the money to buy consciously. And I just think a lot of people kind of hide behind the argument that they don't have that much money. But there's a difference between not having that much money and straight up not having money. Like in my brokest times, I was never thinking, God, I've had such a shit day, I am deserving of new clothes. Like, no, you can't afford new clothes. You already have clothes. Get over it. Like, whenever you are doing better financially, well, then, yeah, you can kind of treat yourself or whatever. But I just think it's this entitlement for clothing that is actually insane. And again, this falls into everything that I was saying before, how we were never meant to have this much clothes. We were never meant to think of clothes as like commodities, as things that are like ways of showing wealth. But your €1,000 Shein haul is not showing wealth. I'm so sorry. And it's perfectly acceptable to want new clothes. I want new clothes literally every single time I open Pinterest. But there's a difference between want and need. And I fall victim to this myself all the time. As I keep saying, I'm not coming at this from a moral high ground. The amount of times I'm like, oh, I need this kind of denim vest that will kind of go with everything. Or especially coming around to like festival season and Electric Picnic and all, I'll be like, oh, I really think I might need this for EP. And I'm like, no, you don't. You want that for EP. You want that item, but you do not need it. And you'll know when it's a need because it's like a work uniform or like underwear or socks or whatever. Like, girl, okay, I get it. Please don't come, like literally, please don't come at me, okay? There's a grey, life is not black and white, okay? There's a grey line between everything. But I just get really pissed off about this argument. Because if you have money to go shopping regularly on fast fashion websites, that means you have the money to buy. If you have money to buy clothes at all, you have money to buy secondhand. Like, that's it. And I understand time is a huge thing and accessibility of secondhand shops or whatever. But this is where the likes of vintage come in. Depop. If you're scrolling on the ASOS website or the Pretty Little Thing website, I can guarantee you can do the exact same thing on a secondhand website. And again, I know there's grey lines and everything, but I just think people are just using it as a cop-out. And it's making the people who occasionally buy from fast fashion retailers because they have no other option look way worse. But they're not the problem. I am never going to be pointing a finger because, again, as I said, I have been that person. If you can, please look secondhand first, is what I'm getting at. And if you have the money to buy clothes, you have the money to buy clothes sustainably. This concept of deserving or being entitled to anything, regardless of if it's clothes or not, is further pushing this individualistic mindset that is enforced heavily by capitalism. And that's the whole point of capitalism. And if we want to develop in any ways as a society or have some form of empathy, you have to take a step back from capitalism and understand what it's doing to us. So again, this is just fueling these big corporations, you know, this whole entitlement, individualism is keeping these corporations alive, and all these corporations are doing is ruining the planet and society as we know it. With society becoming more polarized than ever, I think we all need to be hyper aware of everything we do and how every action we do, every action we act, what? How everything we do has a reaction, how every action has a reaction, and that we can like break the wheel if you just think about things more, think about your consumption more. And I think my next video is going to touch on that a little bit more, so I'm not going to go into too much detail. But on this kind of fast fashion note, I find it hilarious how brands like Massimo Dutti exist, because these are seen as like luxury fast fashion. Like, talk about oxymoron. What do you mean luxury fast fashion? But how these companies can get away with charging these outrageous prices for fast fashion quality. So, and if you have the money to be shopping in Massimo Dutti, I'm so sorry, but please buy from a small brand, buy from a sustainable brand. Put your money where your mouth is. It's 2025. No one's entitled to anything. And if you are going to buy something, just be conscious about your clothes, because again, the more conscious you are, the more likely you are to buy your clothes, love your clothes, and rewear them. There was a fantastic creator, and I cannot think of her name, I'm so sorry, but I'm going to put the video here. And she made a great point in that, and she was talking about fast fashion. And she said, with fast fashion, there's the expectation of quantity. Not just quantity over quality, but just quantity full stop. And she talked about, incentives like free shipping when you spend over 150 or something like that. Or just these hauls. Like, how often do people buy 2 items from Shein? Like, as far as I'm aware, if someone's going on Shein, they're spending a considerable amount of money on pure and utter shit. I'm sorry. So it further, and all these like massive Shein hauls, again, further incentivize this, where they want you to spend as much money as possible on as much as possible. And then so the average consumer who might not have that much money is logging on to Shein and they feel like they have to spend that €150 regardless of the free shipping, or they're not shopping right, they're not doing it right in a way that is like normalized in society. These massive hauls are becoming way too normalized for my liking. But I was like full on like paint me like one of your French girls there. Oh my God. I'm getting a bit too comfortable. I'm on camera. Love you, pookies. And in that video there, she said the average closet consists of 25 to 30% inactive clothes. So this means clothes that are not worn frequently. And I find this, again, falls into exactly what I was saying previously. You just need to get rid of your clothes that you do not wear. Okay? Don't replace them. And just keep what you wear. And wear those clothes to death, please. Hold on a sec. I'm going to give you a prime example of what I mean. I have a pair of trousers that I bought in Bershka 2020, I think. Maybe earlier, okay? They were cheap, but they fit me perfectly, okay? They're these like beige suit trousers. They go with literally everything. They are battered and bruised. The ends, the hems here. Hold on. One sec. See the way they're completely and utterly frayed. Okay, I could get them fixed. I've just not been arsed. Obviously, I have thick thighs. Any of the thick thigh girls that get it, I've completely over chafed them. The pocket is falling apart because I got caught on something, and I ripped the pocket. There's a huge stain in them. I put them through the wash and there was like a black piece of paper on it, and there's this huge black stain along the side of them. I don't really care because these are, there's this like stain on the back. I don't know if that's picking up, but anyway, these trousers were probably €30. Yes, they were made in like a fast fashion place or whatever. But I am getting my wear out of them. And it's exactly what you should do with your clothes. I don't care where you get your clothes from, but wear them to bits. And I remember, quite ironically, I know, but I think Harry Styles does this really well. I think he has this one Rolling Stones t-shirt that is literally falling apart so much that he keeps it together with safety pins. But he has worn it consistently throughout the entirety of One Direction on his solo career. We're talking 15 years now. He has been spotted in this exact Rolling Stones t-shirt consistently. And I think he did an interview where he talked about he had this wool coat and he hugged a fan. She was wearing red lipstick and he got red lipstick on the coat. I think it was like a shearling coat and it was really expensive. And he was talking about how he could have thrown it away. The memory made him keep it and he thought it was really cool and fun to look back on. The way he has this constant like red lipstick stain on this like really expensive shearling coat. And I just think that really encompasses everything that I've been saying here. I hate to bring it back to Harry Styles, but I think there's beauty in the disheveled clothes. And just because your clothes are ripped or worn or you wear them consistently doesn't mean that you have to throw them away. It actually means the opposite. I find there's such an innate beauty in damaged clothes, in ripped clothes, in clothes that are worn and tell a story. It's like, I remember my mom had this gorgeous oak dining table that she had throughout her whole childhood, and it was covered in like coffee rings and paint stains and like us like engraving our initials in the wood. And I remember it used to annoy her so much, but I was like, that tells the story of our lives. This one table tells the story of our entire childhoods. She still ended up getting rid of it, but I don't know if it's just the kind of art student in me, but I just think there's something so beautiful in worn clothes and clothes that tell a story, and that's something that you cannot buy. Like, you, as much as Shein and all like to sell their distressed items, it's not authentic, and you can tell. And every time when I walk down the streets and I see someone who wears the same jacket every single day, it kind of just warms my heart, because you associate them with that. And I think it's really funny now in I've gotten very off script here, but in a lot of films made recently, you'll notice that the characters have like one jacket or two coats. And I think that is so realistic. Even though I have all these clothes and I live in Ireland where the weather is the most inconsistent thing ever, I think I only own like 5 coats, because that's all you need. And how like people know me for them. I have this coat that kind of looks like a picnic blanket, and everyone just are like, you can tell it's spring whenever I bring my picnic blanket out, but it's a coat. And there's just a story to be told in worn clothes. And I think this is why I was drawn to vintage as well, where everything tells a story. And I often think about the people who have worn my clothes before me in a fond way. You know, like this, why did they get rid of it? Did they just not like it? Did they grow out of it? Did it associate them with, I have this gorgeous black lace skirt, okay? And I bought it in Paris. It's fantastic. There's no tag on it. I have no idea where it's from. It is the most beautiful thing ever, okay? And I often wondered why someone got rid of it. And then it dawned on me, it was a black lace skirt. They could have worn it to a funeral of a loved one or something. And then I feel like it's my duty to recreate the memories of that, to retrace the steps of that item, and like make fond memories in that, and make new memories, make new and fond memories in these items where one thought there was nothing to them. And I just think that that's exactly how we should approach everything. Make memories in your clothes and allow them to hold them memories. I'm like looking up at my wardrobe here, and I think every single item I could pull out now, I could tell you where I bought it, why I bought it, and like how I've worn it or how I intend to wear it. And that's how it should be. And you cannot get this whole deep relationship when you're solely following trends. As someone who studies fashion buying, I can guarantee you that the trends that you see, especially in fast fashion places, have been decided 3 years in advance. So by solely buying trends, you're only buying what these companies planned for you to buy. Does this make any sense? Like, you're basically giving these corporations your agency, to put it frank. And these trends were chosen for you. They were targeted to you through marketing, ad campaigns, and the algorithm. And by purchasing them, you're continuing the cycle of unconscious consumerism, of buying things that are pushed to you. But these aren't things that you want/need or have any connection with. So I think there's nothing wrong with falling into a trend. I love me a good trend. And I think it's a really kind of poignant marker in history is what was trending at the time, be it fashion, music, etc. And it tells a lot about society. Like, look at like recession pop and the red lipstick theory and all. Like, it's fascinating. I find trends deeply fascinating, and there's nothing wrong with falling into them. But I think basing your entire personality on trends, it's telling companies that not only is it okay, but it's beneficial for them to sell you your entire personality. And I'm not the only person who've talked about this. I know I've seen some fantastic video essays talking about this whole concept of selling brands, your personality, or brands becoming your whole personality. But I think with the trend cycle thought of so far in advance and marketed directly to you, it doesn't factor in you as an individual, how you change, how you grow, what you like, what you don't like. If you follow trends solely, you're kind of keeping yourself frozen in time and not encouraging you to think about who you are as a person in a way. And I know this is kind of going to sound slightly extremist, but there is, like, surely you can see where I'm coming from. Like, I don't mean it in a judgmental way. And again, trends are fun. I like a trend. Trends exist for a reason. I find them thoroughly fascinating. I seriously considered going into trend predicting. But please don't sell yourself for a brand. Please don't sell your life away to Shein, because that's how their algorithms work. They'll push you a content. If you buy it, they'll push you more content. If you buy it, and the cycle continues to the point where you don't know what you like or what you don't like. If you get a lot of your style inspiration from Instagram and all, you kind of need to be aware that this is all marketing. And I work in marketing, so I know how it goes. And again, there's nothing wrong with it, but I just think it's really interesting where if your entire personality is based on trends, and if you only follow the trends and discard your clothes once they're no longer trendy, I don't think you know who you are or what you like, quite frankly, which is kind of insane. And this kind of, again, it falls into that trickle down theory, which is encompassed perfectly in The Devil Wears Prada, in that iconic scene where she talks about ceruleum and how, although you might not think something has been chosen for you, and you might think you're exempt from the fashion cycle, but everything is chosen for you. And it's up to you whether or not you buy into that, or whether you participate in that or not. Okay? And there's nothing wrong with participating or not, as long as you're consciously thinking about it. And that pile of stuff you might see on your Shein homepage has been placed there for a very particular reason. Okay, oh my god. My hair is kind of giving like Polly Pocket. Okay, Barbie. So, in summary, I know this video kind of talked a lot about the same thing but in different fonts, quite literally. But there's so many different ways how you can love your clothes. But no matter what you do, be it gamifying the shopping experience, having a deeper connection with your clothes, wearing your clothes, outfit repeating with no shame, knowing your wardrobe, or just researching what you like outside of the trend cycles that are pushed upon us, it can encourage you to have that deeper connection with your clothes, to love your clothes. And there is nothing wrong with loving your clothes. I am team love your clothes. And when you do, you'll keep them for longer, no matter where you got them from. You'll keep them for longer. You wear them for longer. And be known for what you wear. And do that with no shame. Because at the end of the day, the best way to save the planet is by loving your clothes. Slay queens. I hope you like this format. I don't really know how it's going to go down. If you would prefer me to shift it to its own channel, I'm more than happy to. I'm kind of just going with what the flow and what the people want. I am a woman of the people. Yeah. This was probably a little bit roundabout way, or a little bit yappy, but I hope I kind of got the point, and I hope I somewhat inspired you. I will probably get a little bit better at this, so please bear with me. It's me and my pink microphone against the world. But I will see yous whenever I see you. I'm planning for maybe a video a month. I have a few scripted. I don't know how long these are going to take to edit or whatnot. But that's a journey we will embark on as it arrives. But I love you, Pookies. Thank you for listening. I really hope I was somewhat coherent. I love you, Pookies. Don't forget to slay. If you do forget to slay, I'm going to come and find you. And I'll see yous very soon. Mwah.